meets mind, we ponder, we dream.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Chris Kalaboukis, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking technology, philosophy, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell. I don't know, is it over here? Is it over here? I forget where it is. And hit that bell so you can be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Now, something very interesting is happening to the humanity. Something extremely interesting is happening to humanity. And I think what's happening to humanity is that we are losing touch with our physical selves. We are losing touch with our sense of place, of physicality, of where we are. And if you think about it, we as human beings, humanity, we have not really evolved from the cave people that we used to be, wandering around the savannah. Well, I guess you can't have caves and savannah at the same time, could you? We haven't really evolved that much beyond that. But in the last 100 years or so, we've gone from being small tribes in small cities and small villages, knowing only a small number of people, to knowing incredible numbers of people in a very light way. We've gone from an environment where we all knew each other, we were physically present with everybody, and in some cases we never traveled anywhere. We were born, we lived, and we died in the same towns, in the same cities, in the same villages. But over the last 100 years, technology has allowed us to be so much more than we were. And the question is this a good thing or not? Now, I'm a techno-optimist. I think technology can be used for good, and we should use it for good. In fact, we should be using it to lift our burdens. That is the whole reason why we developed technology. It's a tool that we use to make our lives better, to become better human beings. As a matter of fact, that's one of the communities that I've built, 10xu.us, which is a community of individuals, and the link is below if you're interested in looking at it, who are interested in using AI to better themselves as humans. We have lost, and I think it's been going for a while, ever since smartphones, ever since the internet. So the internet started this. And at the beginning of the internet, I remember saying that the true purpose of the internet was to interconnect every human being with every other human being without any geographic barriers. And I thought, isn't it a great thing for us to be able to connect every human being with every other human being without geographic barriers? And we have been able to do that. But the problem is that all that does is it connects us virtually, not physically, to all of these other human beings. And we have to go by what we see online as we're talking to determine what this other individual is like. We don't see them every day. We don't talk to them every day. We're not in the same group every day. Well, maybe we talk to them every day, but we don't actually physically be in the same space with them every day. So how can we really know someone if we are not physically in the same space every day? Because that is, up until maybe about 100 years ago, that is how we knew people. We knew people by physically co-locating with them. And even if we didn't physically co-locate with them all the time, we spent enough time with them to get to know them. We spent enough time with them to trust them. We spent enough time with them to understand what they were like as a human being. But that has since flipped. And it's been going for a while, since the internet, since video conferencing, since chat, since all the technology has allowed us to remain in touch with individuals or connect with people who we may have never ever met in person. In fact, most of the people who I have interviewed on my show over the last 1,000 shows I have never, ever met in person. Probably one or two I may have met in person, but hardly any of them I've ever met in person. And I go by their physical representation online of what kind of person that they are. Their reputation is their online persona. Do I know what that person really is like? Because I haven't really spent physical time with them, so I don't know what they're like. So I think that's part, and then COVID comes along and exacerbates this. It's taken us even further away from being physically co-located with other human beings. And the problem is that while I am a techno-optimist, and I think this is important, that we continue to use technology to make our lives better, I think the physical piece of our existence has been slowly dwindling away. I've talked to lots of people who say they now prefer to not meet people in person. They prefer to see people online. They prefer this kind of connection with people. And of course, I wonder why. Because they can see more people. They can connect more often. They can, especially if it's a video conference, they can get, 20% of the human experience? And that's enough for them. But I think what's happening is that we as human beings, we have not evolved beyond the need to have that physical connection. We still need that physical connection. So I implore everyone who's out there to try and reestablish those physical connections with the people that you know, the people that you're talking to online. If there are people who live in the cities that you're going to be in, because a lot of you are very mobile, you're digital nomads, try to meet people face to face at least once so you can get the full picture of what that individual is like. I think we can't really know someone unless we know them in person, unless we physically have met them and seen them and understand that physical connection. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, at one point I said, since we're seeing everything through the world, and I think there was a study that's put out saying that everything that we see, because the way our brains are wired, everything that we see we believe is real. Even fiction, even movies, even things that we see that are absolutely unreal, that have been computer generated, we still believe that they actually happened. So whether you're in Paris or you're watching a video of Paris, does your brain really know the difference between whether it's in Paris or not, or it's a video of Paris? Will you still remember years later, maybe I went to Paris? I don't know. So I suggest we all try to get back to those human connections. Try and renable those connections. Maybe you'll have to see a smaller group of people. Maybe there won't be as many connections as you have now. But I think those connections will be a lot more powerful than the ones we have today. Because right now we're living in a sea of acquaintances. We know people through this medium, but do we really know them? That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.